Hello, avid readers, book nerds, and casual observers. Welcome to the read-along brought to you by the Lit Roundtable. I'm Alma.
And I'm Joseph, and today we are talking about Hall of Smoke by H.M. Long. All right, welcome to part 2 of the Hall of Smoke read-along.
Yeah.
It's us.
We're talking about chapters 6 through 11 today, which is
6 chapters. Right? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, 6. Although a couple of them were like one-pagers, so
not quite one page, but close. A couple pages.
Ish. Yeah. Which is fine. I'm not,
No, it's nice to have varied chapter lengths.
6 chapters sounds like it's a lot, but it's not in this context.
No, we're like a quarter into it now, I would guess. Still plenty early enough for you to jump in if you're accidentally listening to this and you haven't actually read anything yet. You can very easily get caught up before our next installment. But
for sure.
Anyway, so let's talk about what happened in this section. I feel like we learned quite a bit about the world.
Yeah, there was some lore, not like a lore dump. That kind of has like a negative. Some people don't like that a lore dump. But there were lore injections.
Yes.
That we got that were good.
Revelations. Because things that the character also was like... I appreciate the way that H.M. Long is doing this because our character has more or less been indoctrinated from a young age to being an Angie priestess. Mm-hmm. And now that she has... we'll get to how she gets out, but she ends up in a different part of the world and very quickly comes face to face with the fact that things are not the way she thought they were. Mm-hmm. And so we also get to learn about those differences with her. So, and I think that works very well in let me tell you about, this is what the character thinks the world is like, and this is what it's actually like. Or at least from these characters' points of view, this is what the world is actually like. So,
right.
Yeah.
Right. Starting kind of like I want to talk about specific things, but I want to make sure I don't I still kind of want to kind of go in order, even though we're not like totally recounting everything that happens.
Sure.
So like the first part is like her. It's all about her getting from point A to point B with like getting from Engen place to she ends up in the ARPA Empire with she gets
in Solderney specifically, right?
Yeah.
Is that how it's pronounced?
Or
said? I might be misremembering it.
It's
the S one, the longer S one. Solderney. Soulderni. I think it's the people. So maybe Solder.
So
anyway,
I think it's Solderney. Yeah, instead of Solderney, it's Solderney. Emphasis on second, I think. Second syllable.
I'm
but
just
anyway,
a modern English speaker trying to read.
Right.
Not English words.
It was really gross when they get like inspected like cattle to get sold.
Yeah, it reminded me a little bit of Captain Blood, the old Errol Flynn movie, except worse.
Yeah.
Because they're not just checking their teeth, they're like basically checking to see if these women are capable of bearing children.
Birthing, of childbirth.
Yeah.
But
and Hessa
Sixnit
gets overlooked because she's not overlooked. She gets passed by.
Yeah.
Because she's too
muscular and too masculine.
Yeah. Too much of a warrior.
Yeah. She's all scarred up,
Yeah.
which is interesting. I guess the Ingi fire isn't necessarily like heal the wound like it never happened. Maybe it just accelerates the healing if she's all scarred up.
Well, she talks about the scars on her fingertips being very faint, but like those would be like cutting your fingertip is not like unless you like almost chop it off. You know,
Right.
that's going to be a pretty. You don't have to cut very deep to get blood in your fingertips, but if she's taking like sword slashes to her back,
Axe to the side, yeah.
you know that's
That makes
a
sense.
much bigger wound that will scar. So I think that makes sense because she does still have like the scars on her fingertips. They're just very faint.
Okay.
But
She probably heals in a way to where like there's no lasting damage,
right.
even though there's a scar there.
Yeah.
That would make sense to me. So Sixnit and her baby, V name, forgot it.
Visnik?
Vistic, thank you. Gets sold to a rando. Not the same one as Hessa, which Hessa gets sold, well, rather bought by Alma Scott. He shows up. He's like, wants to buy her, and she sees him and tries to kill him like right then and there, and he like breaks her wrist. And I was like reminded of like how awful a broken wrist would be. I've never broken a bone, but
Same.
like you use your wrist a lot.
Yeah. Well, and assuming she attacked him with her dominant hand, as you would,
Yeah.
yeah, that's not great.
But yeah, so she gets bought, and there's this whole interaction with her and Alma Scott. And the whole first two chunk was kind of her and Alma Scott hashing it out and interacting with each other, which was really interesting.
Yeah, they talk a lot about the gods, old gods versus new gods versus whoever Alma Scott serves, who he did
Yeah.
not reveal. And he does have a dog, so that was confirmed. I know we had questions about that. He does, and I like the dog.
I read those chapters. I didn't listen to them, so I'm not sure on the pronunciation for the dog name, but it looks like Ayo.
Yeah,
Ayo.
that's how.
Maybe it's Io. I don't know. Ayo, Io.
I think I read it AO.
Me too.
Yeah, like the big doggy. I think that before we started recording, you were like, I have mixed feelings about Alma Scott, which same. I don't think that he's the villain.
No, me neither.
In fact, I'm beginning to think that Ing is the villain.
Yeah.
Which, goddess of war, if you're fighting just for the sake of fighting, not a great motive.
Not exactly like a moral high ground.
No. But he makes some really valid points about, like, if your god is so powerful, why is she sending you to kill me? Why isn't she doing it herself? Mm-hmm. And he asks her some very good questions that I think are planting seeds of doubt in her mind, too. For sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And her powers don't work around him.
Right.
Which, see, here's the thing. She interprets that as a punishment for not finishing the job when she should have. Mm-hmm. And she's being nerfed by Ingi as a punishment. And Ingi's like, okay,
It's
so there's
Ing.
the other thing.
Ingi is
It's Ingi is the people. Ing is
the goddess.
She thinks that Ing is nerfing her. But and we actually do get some interactions like face to face with Ing in this section, which was cool. We kind of predicted that in the last one. Well, we hoped it would happen. I didn't expect it to happen in the next section, but it did. Cool.
In a dream.
Fine. Yeah, but I still count it.
No, I think it totally counts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Ing totally plays it off as like because Hessa says, give me the fire back. Let me use it and let me kill him. I can kill him right now. I can kill him tonight. Just give me my fire back. And Ing's like, you can kill him. Like, I'm not gonna arm you or help you. You can kill him like an animal. Like,
Yeah.
just totally plays it off as like, oh yeah, I totally meant to do that. See, my theory is that Alma Scott is some kind of deity or like demigod character,
Yeah.
and he's immune
Yeah.
to the Ingi fire, so
I had the
it like
same
has no
thought.
effect on him.
Did you
So
also? Okay, so later on, she has another dream after she's been, after she's in the river.
yeah,
We're jumping ahead a little bit, but I want to make this
Yeah.
connection. But she has another dream, and in that dream, she's given her fire back, and is like, "You can use this to get to him, but once you're there, no more."
yeah, convenient.
Very convenient. Yeah.
So I think that Alma Scott is some kind of, I think he is something. I just don't know what.
Yeah.
Some kind of, I think he's some kind of demigod figure. Like, yeah, I don't know. We'll find out. But he is
Or-
interesting. He's really likable.
He is, which totally explains why she let him in.
Mm-hmm.
Because he doesn't come off as threatening, and he like defends her against other people who would do her harm.
Yeah.
And even when she attempts to kill him in the middle of the night with her hairpin,
Yeah.
and she gets away.
Which is so John Wick.
So yeah, that whole scene was very gruesome.
I was gonna say that. It's so gross. Super gross.
But he obviously wakes up as she's trying to kill him, and then other people start to notice in this camp that something bad is happening and try to help. And he's basically like, "No, she's mine. You can't interfere. This is between me and my slave." And then he drags her off. And whereas the other people around would have just killed her for attempted murder of her master. So he drags her off and puts her in the river.
Yeah, and just throws her in there.
Yeah. Which, the river man, that was really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
More ancient, not deities, ancient creatures
Powers.
that are like
Something.
seeping into the world. Sort I like it.
Yeah.
Like
Right up your alley.
Oh my gosh, it's like adult Narnia, like grown up Narnia.
A little bit. Yeah.
As far as like the integration of these different mystical element or not mystical mythological elements.
Yeah.
It's my vibe.
I honestly, I think that these deities, like Ingi and whatever the Elgot, I forget the name, it starts with a G. I like remember the first letter, but
Yeah, I hear you. I have the same
something.
problem.
But anyway,
Well, and
what I was going to say was
Olden is the
Olden.
Solderney god.
Solderney. Yeah.
Sorry.
Solderney. No, yeah, totally. I think that and he's in hiding right now because there's like upheaval with the god structure right now, like something crazy is happening. And I'm like, yeah, it's because Alma Scott's like player 6 has entered the battle and they're all like, whoa, what?
So what if Alma Scott isn't like a new god, but he's actually one of the older gods?
That's come back.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'd be cool. I could see that. But the thing that I was going to say was that, and if that's true, he's just like a dude, like
Yeah.
he's just been walking around. But I think that these deities aren't as deity-esque as they would like people to think they are.
No.
I feel like there's a bit of a facade. There's like a Wizard of Oz thing happening right now. Like, pay no attention to the creepy owl lady behind the curtain. Like they can be killed. They're not all powerful. They can't be everywhere at once. I'm like, are these just random people who were like faking all these other people out that are like that have magical powers or something? I don't know.
I mean, they do have magic though.
Yeah.
So I
But
don't.
are they like Valar level or Gandalf level is like what I'm saying. Like, are they just
Sure.
Gandalf level people that are pretending to be Valar level people?
For those of you that don't know, Joseph is making an allusion to the Silmarillion.
For the sake of me communicating my thoughts more effectively,
yes.
and I know that you'll understand me.
I
So
totally do. I just want, in case the listener is not.
Yeah.
We often do this where we compare things to the Lord
Everything
of the
gets
Rings.
compared to Lord of the Rings.
So that we, as a point of reference. Yeah, I don't know. I think we're going to find out. Okay, so we haven't talked about this, but the subtitle of the book, or like the tagline, is "To err is divine," which is a turn of phrase because you typically say "to err is human."
Interesting.
Yes, which I think that's a. Is that a Socrates
Intentional.
quote? To err is human. What's the second half of that? To err is human.
To err is divine. So basically, we're reading a story about imperfect deities. I mean, that's kind of what I gleaned from that.
Yes. Okay, so the phrase that I'm thinking of is "to err is human, to forgive divine," is a quote from Alexander Pope.
I know there's more books in this series. Maybe the second book has "to forgive is human."
Maybe.
As the tagline.
Which would make sense.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. That's an easy thing to find out. Just with a quick Barnes & Noble peek. But
sure.
I just think that's interesting, especially with what we've learned in this section about the gods.
Oh, yeah.
Quarreling and how they treat their people and
for sure.
Whatever. So she's taken down river by this riverman to Olden's feet. And she like questions why he's helping her, and he tells her that it's because he wants Ing to be indebted to him in the coming days. Which, whether or not Ing would care or not, left to be determined. But I appreciate that our girl does not know her geography, because I am also really bad with geography. Yeah. And you know what? You'll be proud of me. I actually turned to the map.
Nice. The map is actually really helpful.
It is very helpful. You know what? It's a map that like lists the important places and not all the places, which I really appreciate.
Like you can see where Eastmead is, and
yes,
like her hometown, and you can see where the Arpa Empire is.
Yep.
All that.
Yep. Really appreciate that very much.
Yeah. So she meets new friends.
She after she has this after she gets out of the river and has that vision with Aang telling her again, like, here's some power, but also you can't use it later.
Oh wait, really quick, wasn't that also when she was like, what the heck did you do with like binding me to this child? Is that when that was?
Yes. And Ing is so mad that Hessa promised to protect Vistik, the baby.
Yeah.
And that is when the veil starts to be torn for Hessa, I think. Because she's like, you're a god. Shouldn't you want to protect your people?
Yeah, and Ing is just couldn't be bothered. She's super annoyed that Hessa promised to do that, because basically she explains in her thought process the way these oaths work is that in Hessa's stead, Ing will step in to protect the child for her if they're separated. And they got separated. And now Ing is like, I have better stuff to do than protect this stupid baby. What are you doing? What's wrong with you?
Right. And Hessa has a vision that the baby's missing. So now she's also worried about the baby. And
Yeah. So another instance, yeah, like you said, that veil is tearing, the facade is crumbling. Hessa starting to see her deity and have some questions, some doubts about their motives and integrity. So
I gotta say, the description of Ing is very intimidating and very compelling.
oh, she's creepy.
She's creepy, but
Like
very cool.
like shadow murder queen.
Yeah.
Like gothic. I imagine just like this punk goth. Like
You know what I picture is the art for Yasha in Campaign 2.
oh yeah,
Like she's
that
very like
works.
that very aesthetic. Is at least how I'm picturing her. But
Yeah, I could see that for sure.
yeah. But yeah, so she wakes up and there's or she comes out of the vision. I'm not really sure if she's asleep. Whatever. But
Yeah.
she comes out of the vision and there's this shepherdess that's like, "What are you doing here?"
Hey,
And pretty readily agrees to help her because she's clearly not in good shape.
yeah.
Oh yeah, her ear's been chopped off. One of her ears.
Or was it bitten off? The dog got her
Well,
real good.
Yeah.
I don't remember
It
if it was
was
the dog or something
dangling.
else, but ugh, floppy ear.
Yeah.
That's gross. So she's missing an ear, presumably, unless Ing could heal that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But
Ooh, we also learned about the Hearths Law, which she mentions to Ing about Alma Scott being in the temple, and saying like he was under Hearths Law, so I didn't think that it would be
Yeah.
right to kill an innocent man. And then the shepherdess takes her to the Soldurni,
Soldurni.
to get some respite and some care. And she's under Hearth law there, which means like that basically they agree to disagree about their gods and they're going to treat each other kindly.
Yeah. Because
and
apparently their gods were like kind of on the same team. Like they weren't hostile to each other, right? Not like the
Yeah.
Elgot. The Elgot ones are like super aggro against
Apparently.
Ingi.
Yeah.
Ing.
And she ends up like sleeping for a week.
I mean, yeah, dude.
Yeah, she's pretty messed up. Okay. But then we meet the shepherdess's mom, Silgi. I love her.
Mm-hmm. She's
Because
pretty
she
cool.
says it like it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Strong lady.
Strong lady.
And she was Algat.
Right. And now she's married to a soldier, which like blows Hessa's mind. She's like, how is that even possible? The Algat are evil. And Silgi's like, well, the Elgot raids are tribute from Ing. Like, you let them come and take a portion of your goods as a tribute. But you've dressed it up as this seasonal warring, but it's not. And again, Hessa's just like having these revelations that things are not as they seem.
Her bubble has popped pretty effectively.
Yeah.
The Angen Bubble. She was very, very much it. The more I think she interacts with the outside world, the more cult like I think the Ingi are gonna feel like. You know, the Ingi priests.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And also like this part was funny because Silgi also is talking about how the bloodlines aren't as pure as they think they are. Like she has a son.
There's intermarrying and yeah.
That's like part Iosa. What is he? He's
of the Arpa Empire, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So he's got protection from some of the Arpa gods.
Because she fell in love with a legionnaire and had a son with one of them, and now she's part of Soldern and whatever. And I was like, oh my gosh. So, like, we've got issues with blood purity. Ugh.
Gross.
Gross.
Uh,
I'll admit that I'm a little confused about all the deities.
I think it's kind of like we haven't had enough revealed to us to have like a firm grasp of what is
Okay.
going on in that regard.
Because there was like a point in chapter 10 where I was like, I don't know what is happening with all of
Your brain
these
just starts making the
names.
internet dial-up sounds.
Yes. Yes.
I don't know what's happening.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. But I think you're right that that's intentional, because then the Soldier also have a new nameless, faceless god.
Yeah. Like Alma Scott? Is it the same god? Is it Alma Scott?
Right. Same questions.
And the ARPA all have their own gods too. Which I'm sorry, what was her name? The one you
Silky.
like? That's like Silky kind of like
Silky.
dunks on. She kind of dunks on the ARPA gods, like, oh, most of them are just like ancestors or like important people. They're not even proper deities, and like it's dumb.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
just like, well, your deities like can also die. Like, what do you?
Right.
It's interesting. It's really interesting.
Well, and then they go in. Hessa wants to pay tribute to Olden for protecting her in this season, and so she goes and does a sacrifice. And like the difference in that sacrifice versus the one that she made to Ing, right? Like the first chapter, was really interesting, because Iosa takes her up a mountain with a lamb or a goat. A herd animal. A goat or a sheep, I don't remember.
Yeah, they had to sacrifice a herd animal.
Yeah. And which was very like Old Testament feeling to me.
Yes. Yes.
And they're just about done, and then she like does a little bit of her own blood, which I don't think was part of the requirement for Olden. It was just something she did because that was, what's familiar to her.
Familiar, yeah.
So that was interesting to see the juxtaposition of like one god like requiring a sacrifice of an animal and another god requiring a sacrifice of your own blood.
Yeah. And it was also interesting. She said that even though Olduin is in hiding, she could still feel his presence. Like this is still holy ground. So they've got like these divine hotspots
Apparently
set up,
yeah,
where they can still like get a connection and like talk to their peeps even when they're in hiding. Yeah, it's interesting. And so I'm like, is Ing in hiding? Like, what's like? I want to know. I want to see a glimpse of like what's happening in like the pantheon. Is there like all out war between gods happening right now?
right.
I'm really curious to see what is going on that front, because that's kind of what it feels like.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially with like the Elgot coming in and conquering or like laying waste to most of Angen. Like did that god like lash out at Ing? And I don't know. I guess we'll see. But
Well, and didn't we learn that was because the Algot were being pushed out of their own space by, was it the ARPA?
Yeah.
Or was it someone else? I think it was ARPA.
yeah, the ARPA moved into the mountains, which if you look at the map, it's like the ARPA went totally around Angen, and like it's kind of like they went like super roundabout. But so now I'm like, what's in the mountains? What they want?
Right.
Was it just the Elgot? Did they just want to mess with the Elgot people? I don't know.
I don't know. I imagine we'll find out.
Maybe we'll see.
We did have a couple flashbacks.
We did.
So the first one, we learned about the first person when she just like learned about her fire and being an Angie.
Yes.
Because she killed.
We saw her bio mom.
Yes.
For the first time.
Yes.
Right. Yes.
Yes.
Because isn't her bio mom dead?
No. So in chapter 8, she's talking about how her uncle that sings a lot, and her dad calls him lazy. And then that night, their
Well, the
uncle
uncle
dies, and
does die,
but not the
and then
aunt,
the aunt
because
becomes mom.
right,
too.
mom number 2, yeah, because
Right.
then they have
Right.
the 2 moms, yeah.
The mom doesn't die. Well,
no.
maybe at present day the mom.
No, the mom
I don't
doesn't die
remember.
because remember later on when in a previous chapter, when she's like 9 or 10, and they're deciding whether or not she should go to the temple or somewhere
Holy
else.
For some reason, I thought I was remembering a random line about her mom getting killed in an Elgot raid or something. Like in present day, like she had said something like that.
That's possible. It wasn't this one though. It wasn't
No,
the one
okay.
in this chapter.
Okay.
Because
For a second, I thought that we were seeing that raid.
oh, yeah, no. I don't think so.
That's fair.
Because her mom's later when
Yes,
they're getting
you're right.
ready to meet
I think that happened
High
after they
Priestess.
left.
Yes.
After she got sent away, that happened.
I think so too. But yeah, so she's
Anyway.
they're in a loft. This reminded me of so I'm reading the Little House on the Prairie books with my middle schoolers, and this seemed like something that would happen in one of those books if they took place in Viking time and not on the prairie. But like, we're gonna go fight. You guys hang out up here. Here's a knife.
Don't get killed.
Don't get killed.
Enjoy the trauma.
Yeah, yeah. And it of course does not go well, and Hessa does kill someone, and a couple of her sisters are very badly wounded.
One of them gets like thrown out of the loft, and she like lands on the dining room table. Like,
Yeah.
oh snap! That's like an MMA move that just got
To a child.
to a child.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like a WWE like
Yeah.
SmackDown thing.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
But she killed this person with her scream. Which is kind of interesting.
His eyes started bleeding.
Yeah. But that's something that she like admires about the High Priestess, whose name's escaping me right now. Right?
Something Savala?
Yeah, maybe. That sounds right.
Salva? Something like that?
So I think it's interesting that she has a similar power. Now, whether or not she can tap into it as readily as the High Priestess,
Right.
I don't know. But
Yeah. Yeah. And I still want to know what the heck happened to that High Priestess.
oh, I have a feeling she's actually a big bad.
Svala. It's Svala.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think that her and Ing are, I think, going to be set up to be two major antagonists in this book.
Well,
That's my prediction.
yeah, because then in chapter 11, not that we're going by chapters, but those were the two. Chapter 8 and chapter 11 were the two flashback chapters.
Right.
They're like having a festival, and Ing has been absent for a while, and then she possesses the body of this girl, this young acolyte. And after Ing doesn't say anything, she just possesses her body. And then
looks at them all.
And looks at them all. And is terrifying.
Creeper.
And then she leaves the girl's body, and the girl passes out. And Svala tells everyone that she passed out, not to worry. But in hindsight, I think Hessa is realizing, or had realized, that Svala definitely knew that girl was dead.
Yeah.
And it was just so that Ing could look at them.
Yeah.
So,
Super sketch.
yeah. So my one note for this chapter was just a straight lined face emoji.
I feel like this book is about a warlock coming to terms with her patron being evil. You think you're a cleric, but you're actually a warlock.
I mean, kind of. It does seem to be where we're headed.
Yeah. So
It's
interesting.
super fascinating.
It's been very good. Very good so far.
And not a hard read. Like I'm not struggling with it at all. I feel like with some of our other books I've struggled a little bit just because they're so outside of my
normal sphere of reading.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But this is, you know what? You could fool me and tell me that I picked this book.
Right? Yeah. It seems like a very you book.
It does. Yeah.
Like, I'm honestly surprised that you haven't read this already, just judging by the cover. Like, how did you not see that cover?
I didn't know it existed. You know
right
what?
Away?
This is a total tangent. And maybe we save this for a podcast episode. But when I go to Barnes & Noble or a bookstore and I look at the adult fantasy section, I never see books like this. I see, like, the spine out version, which is not nearly... Like, I feel like they turn out, like, the... Not that there's anything wrong with the Robert Jordan books, obviously. But, like, those longer...
Whatever's in the mainstream at the time.
Yeah, like, they get... Yeah. Or whatever's, like, a long-running series.
When Game of Thrones was still airing.
Oh, yeah.
You know...
Those books get precedence, even, which is dumb because everybody knows about them. And then these books don't get it. But when you go into the YA section, I feel like they do a good job of turning out... I don't know. I just think that YA marketing is
YA
far superior.
YA book covers are also, in general, better. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty comfortable saying, like, going out on a limb and saying that, like, YA book covers are really good. Mm-hmm. And sometimes adult book covers are not.
Yeah.
They look corny.
Or just boring.
They're getting better. I would say they're getting better. Yeah. But...
yeah, I mean, this is this beautiful, like, owl, art with the silhouette of a warrior. Like, very cool.
Very cool.
Here for it.
Very cool. Yeah, dude.
But anyway.
Hall of Smoke.
If you're not reading it, you should be. And if you haven't read it and you've listened to this, what are you doing?
Go read it.
Spoilers.
Go buy it, go read it.
These read-alongs are all spoilers. All the time.
Yeah, if we have to say that they're spoilers, that's a sad state of affairs. Anyway, so what's our assignment for next time?
Yeah.
12 through
my sticky note. 12 through 15.
12 to 15.
Through 15.
4. Oh, yeah, 4 chapters.
Yeah.
4 chapters. Through 15. Stop at 16.
Yes. Correct.
Awesome. Very good. Well, we'll see what revelations rack our brains next time.
It'll be good.
Yeah, man. All right. Well, it's been good. So, until then, happy reading.
And we'll talk at you next time.
Later.
Bye.